welcome to my January TBR. Lots of people, not my TBR, my wrap up. Lots of people are saying that January has been a long month, but I think it's absolutely flown by. I have no idea how we're already a month into 2019. Like, how on earth did that happen? Anyway, without beating about the bush, I have no words this morning without beating around the book. Let's get into the books I read in January. I read 25 things in January. I did 2 readathons, so that really helped me kickstart my reading year. I love so much the first batch of books of the year because it's just such a great way to kind of get to those things either that you really want to get to that you didn't manage to at the end of the previous year, or to get a kickstart on some of the things you need to read, particularly if you've got review copies for 2019. So I just love it. I made a vlog all about it. I will leave it linked up here. 6 of the books that I read in January were picture books, because I decided to start counting the picture books that I read, because I don't have any children myself, but I do read picture books as part of some of the volunteering that I do with the library. I feel like counting 5 or 6 picture books a month is a worthwhile thing, because then I can tell you about the picture books that I've read as well. One of the things that I read was a novella. It's part of a serialized novel, and I read 3 graphic novels. So when I say I read 25 things, it wasn't 25 full-length adult novels, but it was still 25 things. As always, there's a lot of audiobooks here. So let's jump right in. I read ebooks first of all. I read Paper Girls Volume 4 and 5. Although I have this physical copy out the library, I ended up actually reading the ebook copy of this one because I was reading it during the Bout of Books readathon and read it on my iPad. So I read both 4 and 5 on my iPad. Then during another readathon, the 24 and 48, I'll leave my vlog for that one linked up here, I read If Only I Could Tell You by Hannah Beckerman, which comes out in the UK on the 21st of February. I read From Mum with Love by Louise Emma Clarke, which comes out in the UK on the 5th of February, I believe, beginning of February. And I also read Happy Girl Lucky by Holly Smale, which also comes out in the UK in February. I was very excited to read this one because I loved the Geek Girl series so much. I have a video talking all about that. Maybe I'll leave that one linked up here as well. And it was really exciting to read her kind of new thing after Geek Girl. When an author has written a whole massive series that you love so much, what comes next is massive. So that was another ebook. And then the novella, the part of the serialized novel I talked about, is Wildflower Park Part 3 by Bella Osborne. Part 2 is coming out in February in ebook, and Part 3 is coming out in March. I don't have Part 4 yet. I need Part 4. I need to now know how this series ends. I love this series, and I've been part of the blog tour for the first 3 parts. So my blog is always linked below, but I have shared extracts of Part 1, 2, and coming up Part 3. The Part 3 one's not coming up till March, but the person who organised the blog tour for that one is so organised. I love working with her, and so she's already sent it through to me. And so in return, I've already read and reviewed the book, so, you know, it works both ways. Then in terms of physical books, those picture books that I talked about, because they're library things, I don't have them here with me. I will try and do my best to leave links to them down below in case you are interested in them. I read A Good Day for a Hat, Under My Hood I Have a Hat, and Which Hat Is That? Can you tell I was doing a hat-themed story session, which was very appropriate because it was snowy outside. So then I read Grumpy Bird, Happy Hippo Angry Duck, Crunch the Shy Dinosaur. I feel like there's another one that I'm missing there. Anyway, and I read those during a different volunteer session, and I can definitely recommend all of those. Happy Hippo, Angry Duck, which is apparently very hard for me to say, was really good, and it was a board book as well, so definitely recommend that one. Then I have a physical book I can actually show you. We're going on to physical books I can show you now. Yay! I read The Flight of Cornelia Blackwood by Susan Eliott Wright. This is already out in audiobook, so if you are following my recommendation and picking this up straight away, you can buy the audiobook now. It is available on both audibles.com and .co.uk, and this one comes out in hardback in February in the UK. I made a whole video talking about this one. I will leave it linked up here. Definitely, probably my favourite book I read this month. I'm just putting it out there. Then I read Words We Don't Say by KJ Reilly. Did I read this as part of a readathon, or did I just read it? I can't remember now. This one was given to me by my lovely friend Jenna. You should definitely go and follow her Instagram or her blog, because she does wonderful reviews and book features as well. And then another graphic novel I read. This was lent to me by my lovely friend Mary, and this is Hey Kiddo by Jarrett Krosczka. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but this is a graphic memoir. In my video, I read a graphic novel, that kickstarted this whole, okay, I read graphic novels now thing. It was a graphic memoir that I started with, so she recommended this one to me, and I really loved it. Let me show you just some of the illustrations. So it includes letters in it, love books with letters, and it also includes, like, each chapter has this wonderful, like, wallpaper, and then it has a couple of bits where when things get a little bit darker in the story, things get darker in the colouring as well. So I really, let's have it the right way around, really enjoyed this one. Let me see if I got any more physical ones to tell you about. Nope. Moving on to the audiobook. Let's go first with ones I can actually show you. I listened to Sadie by Courtney Summers. Unfortunately, this one for me was one of those that had been overhyped, and then I came to it with everyone going, oh, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it, best book, best book, best book. And so I went into it with the hype, and unfortunately it kind of fell short for me just a little bit. It was good. It was fine, it was enjoyable, I didn't want to stop reading it, but I didn't feel like it was as good as everybody was telling me it was. Then I know that this isn't an actual book, but so I can show you the picture. I did a buddy read of Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shetterly, I think. I did this with Beautifully Bookish Bethany. We listened to the book together, and then the reason I have the Blu-ray from the library is because we then watched the movie together, and I made a book versus movie talking about it. So if I've got enough links left, I'll leave it up here. If not, it'll be on the end screen for you, so you can check that out. And my thoughts. I finally listened to Odd One Out by Nic Stone. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it had amazing, diverse characters. It had good representation in it. I could identify with it. Following on from Dear Martin, again, it was always going to be a hard act to follow. I can't believe it took me so long to read this. I'm very sorry to this book, but I was waiting to get the audiobook, and as soon as I got it, it's one of the first things I read. I read it during the first readathon this year. And then another link with Bethany. Bethany sent me a copy of Code Girls by Liza Mundy for Christmas, which was very lovely of her. She loved this one and thought that I would love it too, which I did. Having read this and then read Hidden Figures, get very similar vibes. So if you have read Hidden Figures, you will like Code Girls. Listen to the audiobook of it. just because it was available at my library, and it was the first book I read this year. You know what it's like at the beginning of the year, after that Christmas period where you've been here, there and everywhere and don't know which day of the week it is. It's always kind of hard to get back into reading, so that's why I ended up doing this one on audiobook, but I definitely really loved it. Then I listened to Something to Tell You by Lucy Diamond, which features in my 24 in 48 readathon vlog, so definitely go and watch that. I listened to Evermore by Sarah Holland. I enjoyed Everless. I have an interview with Sarah Holland and a review of the book, which I will leave linked at the end or linked below, so you can go away and watch that. It's definitely out of my comfort zone. Definitely sort of fantasy dystopian type thing, but hearing her talk about the book motivated me to read it, and so I wanted to read the follow-up. I wanted to read Evermore. I read it. To be honest, I probably won't read any more of the series. I think there's more in the series coming, because it just didn't feel very memorable to me. I could tell you more about Everless than I could about Evermore, and I haven't done a full review of this one just because I don't feel like I have an awful lot to say about it. It kind of wasn't my thing on this occasion, and I didn't find myself wanting to get back to the audiobook. I kept cheating on it with other audiobooks. So then some more non-fiction. I read Joyful by Ingrid Lee, which is about the joy of things around us and how colours and shapes and spaces and sounds and various other categories can affect our mood, and how to kind of make more joy in your life, basically, which is lovely and we all need. I definitely recommend. I think I would probably like to get a physical copy of this book so that I could refer back to it. But I was on a sort of positivity kick this month, I suppose, with it being January maybe. And so after reading that, I read a couple of other body positive books. So I read Landwhale by Jes Baker 2 years ago, so like October 2017. I listened to Things No One Says To, or Things No One Tells Fat Girls, or things, yeah, something like that, her first book, and I really enjoyed it. So when I heard that this one was coming out, I knew I wanted to read it, popped myself on the hold list for the audiobook, because I just felt like she was having a chat with me whilst we were reading it. And then on that same vein, I listened to Body Positive Power by Megan Jane Crabbe. Body Posy Panda, go and follow her on Instagram, she's fabulous. And then back to the fiction for my final audiobook listen. I listened to Kill a Mockingbird by Harper because I've been trying to watch some of the sort of top rated movies on IMDb. I'll probably make a video talking about that at some point, so stay tuned for that. But because it has a book, I wanted to read the book first, and it's not something that's kind of, obviously I know about it and I know about her and I know the general plot line, but it's not something that's ever been on my radar to read. It's not something that we read at school or at university or everyone else was reading, so I felt like I had to read it. So I listened to the audiobook of it. It was okay. It goes into a lot more detail than the movie. I'm considering making a book versus movie about it, but I'm not sure because they're both really obviously old and not current now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you would like to see a book versus movie on it. I will be happy to make one. And that's it. There we have it. My 25 things I read in January. Did I say at the beginning it was one graphic novel? No, I did say 3 graphic novels, didn't I? Yes. So yeah, the graphic novel thing is quite nice. I quite like it as a, if I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks and I need to get back into reading either a physical book or an ebook in particular, sometimes I'm a bit like, I'm so over my Kindle. Whereas other times, like, it's convenient, it's here, let's read on the Kindle. Or it's an ebook, so I can read it on my phone. And I found this month that having those graphic novels, firstly the ones on ebook really kind of got me back into that again, and then the other graphic novel again, it was like I just want something to read that's not going to take me the week to read and isn't an audiobook, because I have a bit of an audiobook problem. I love them, and I already have a load more that came on hold from my library that are going to feature in my February TBR. So there's that. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. As I say, let me know in the comments if you would like to hear a book versus movie video. Let me know if you've read any of these books and you have different thoughts or similar thoughts. Always love getting comments from you. I will be back with my movie reviews video on Sunday, and then my February TBR for you next week. Definitely not anticipating reading this many books in February. February is going to be a busy month, and so it will be a smaller TBR and hopefully a shorter video. As I say, I will leave some of those links below and on the end screen if I haven't managed to fit them in the video. And thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe so that those videos land in your subscription feed, and I will see you on Sunday.